had to say a little bit earlier this morning.
Basically, the Fed is saying that, one, uncertainty has gone up a lot. We're not really sure how long the banking system stress is going to last and how severe it's going to be. Number two, that stress is going to restrain the economy, and that substitutes a little bit for rate hikes. So we're not going to have to do as much as we thought we were going to have to do earlier.
That is not the right tape. I'm hoping we have the right tape now, so let's try again. The Swiss National Bank President, Thomas Jordan.
The Credit Suisse problem is much smaller given the fact that UBS will take over Credit Suisse. So this problem is solved, and this is good. So we have a stable banking system in Switzerland. Obviously, we have a certain uncertainty on the global scale. But I think we have to continue to follow that very closely, to observe it very closely, and then see what is the impact on the Swiss situation.
President Jordan, were you surprised by the turmoil that we saw in the markets given the wipeout of AT1s on Monday?
Well, I cannot really comment on the AT1 issue. This is our financial regulator who is in charge. There was some impact, but I see for the Swiss situation, it was limited. But
were you surprised by the market turmoil after the weekend in general?
Well, I cannot really comment on that. We are not in charge of the decision regarding the AT1s.
But of course, if there's market turmoil, it impacts what you're looking at and the parameters. Are you confident that we won't see a day like Monday again?
Well, we expect that now the situation will calm down, and also that people look at that very carefully, and it becomes more clearer what exactly are the medium to long-term consequences then.
What do you worry about the most right now? I know that a lot was done over the weekend, and you said, look, all of the other options, we would have been worse off. But going forward, what could be troublesome?
No, I think it's not absolutely essential that both banks, UBS and Credit Suisse, do everything that the takeover takes place in a smooth way, so that we do not have any risk anymore. So the commitment of both is complete. And it's very important that they work closely here together. This is important for their situation, it's important also for Switzerland, and we are supporting that by all necessary liquidity. This is something where we look at very carefully, of course. On the global scale, the uncertainty remains high, and we look at that as well.
So I know you're briefed actually minute by minute, right, by what's going on probably with the two banks. What can you tell us about outflows from Credit Suisse? Is there a danger that actually the financial system in Switzerland has just become less secure, that depositors are wondering what happens also to this large bank?
Well, as you all know, last week was a critical situation, but now with all the measures that were taken and by the decision of UBS to take over Credit Suisse, I think this problem is now solved, and the situation is now much better.
Can you explain, President, what you think happened in the last 6 days? I mean, it all started in the U.S. with SVB. I know there were a number of also contacts, for example, with U.S. Treasury and U.S. regulators.
Yeah, of course there were contacts. I think that it was a Swiss decision, and a decision that was also a private sector decision to do everything that avoids a resolution. Resolution would have been very problematic. It could have triggered a financial crisis in Switzerland with all the negative impact immediately in Switzerland, but of course also globally. So it was very important that we could avoid resolution in those circumstances, given the fragility of the banking system globally and the financial markets. And that was achieved by having this takeover of Credit Suisse by UBS.
But what surprised you the most at the speed? And I know a lot of people are commending you at how fast this went. I mean, this was a fully capitalized bank.
Yeah, that's right. The bank was well capitalized at the beginning of the week, but then we had these shocks coming from the US. And at the end, we had in a very few days really a meltdown of the confidence of both counterparties and deposit holders that created this difficult situation. And fortunately, it was able, also due to good preparation, to have in a few days a solution that then avoided resolution under those circumstances.
Francine Lacqua joins us now from Zurich. Francine, once again, just phenomenal work. Once more, catching up with really important figures over in Switzerland. Francine, what did we learn this morning about the SNB and what they knew over the last week going into this takeover of UBS from Credit Suisse?
Well, what we learned is actually they're very conservative and don't want to say very much at all in terms of the market turmoil, certainly on Monday. I mean, we asked them multiple times, and of course, Thomas Jordan, president of the SNB, also fielded many questions at press conference saying, did you know, did you think that wiping out the AT1s would lead to such market turmoil? Like, remember, market turmoil is also in their remit, but he would absolutely not be drawn on that, saying, well, financial regulation